The rain-slicked alley behind the old diner smelled like regret and rotten tomatoes, the kind that clung to your skin long after you'd washed it off. I was on my knees, fingers black with grime, prying open a dumpster lid that creaked like a broken promise, when her voice sliced through the downpour. Sharp, familiar, and utterly impossible. "Paisley? Jesus Christ. What the hell are you doing?" There she stood, umbrella in one hand, the other shielding her eyes from the relentless Seattle drizzle. Jordan Hale, my ex, the woman who'd once whispered my name like a prayer, now the goddamn mayor of the entire city, her silhouette framed by the glow of a street lamp like some cruel joke from the universe. I froze, heart slamming against my ribs, the half-eaten burger wrapper slipping from my grasp into the muck. 5 years. 5 years since she'd walked out of our cramped apartment on Capitol Hill, suitcase in hand, chasing that internship in D.C. that turned into a meteoric rise, city council, then mayor, all while I spiraled into the shadows she'd left behind. I'd told myself I was over it, over her, piecing together freelance graphic design gigs that barely covered rent, ignoring the gnawing ache that had me scavenging for scraps on nights like this. But here she was, live and in the flesh, her navy coat tailored to perfection, those hazel eyes widening in a mix of horror and something softer, something that twisted the knife deeper. "Get up," she said, voice cracking just enough to betray the polished facade. "You're coming with me."
Now.
I wanted to laugh, or scream, or maybe just sink into the puddle at my feet and disappear. But her hand was already extended, steady as ever. The same hand that had traced lazy circles on my back during those endless summer nights when we'd dream aloud about a life beyond the grind, adopting a dog, traveling the coast, building something real in a world that chewed up dreamers like us. Lesbians in a city that pretended to embrace us, but still whispered behind closed doors. Instead, she'd chosen ambition over us, or so I'd convince myself in the bitter aftermath, nursing bottles of cheap wine while scrolling her polished social media feeds, each photo a fresh bruise. Now, drenched and defeated, I let her pull me up, her grip warm against the chill, and for a split second, the world narrowed to just that touch, the electric hum that had always simmered between us, threatening to ignite. She bundled me into the back of her sleek black SUV, the leather seats swallowing me whole, smelling of leather polish and faint jasmine, her scent unchanged. The driver, a stoic guy in a crisp uniform, didn't bat an eye as we peeled away from the alley, wipers slapping rhythmically against the windshield like a metronome counting down to whatever reckoning this was. Jordan slid in beside me, close enough that our knees brushed, sending a jolt up my spine. "Talk to me," she murmured, voice low, urgent, as if the partition between us and the front seat was the only barrier left.
Why?
"Paisley, why didn't you call?" "I could've." "Could've what?" The words burst out harsher than I intended, laced with the pent-up fury I'd buried under layers of survival. "Sent a check? A care package from your mayoral mansion? You left, Jordan. You chose the spotlight over this." I gestured vaguely at myself, at the grease stains on my jeans, the hollows under my eyes from too many sleepless nights, sketching logos for startups that ghosted me after one revision. We'd been 25 then, wild and unbreakable, sharing a bed in a walk-up where the walls were thin and the love was thick. She'd been the firebrand activist, rallying for queer rights at pride marches, while I grounded her with quiet sketches of our future. But power had a way of reshaping people, and one day, she'd looked at me with those same hazel eyes and said, "This city's broken, Pius. I can fix it, but I can't do it here, not with you holding me back." Holding her back. The phrase had echoed in my skull for years, a mantra of self-doubt that led to bad decisions, dating ghosts who vanished at dawn, taking odd jobs that chipped away at my soul until I was here, dumpster diving in the underbelly of the city she'd vowed to save. The SUV hummed through downtown, skyscrapers blurring past like judgmental sentinels, their lights reflecting off the glass in fractured rainbows. Jordan's hand hovered near mine on the seat, hesitating, then retreating. "I was wrong," she admitted, the confession hanging heavy in the confined space. God, Paisley, every ribbon cutting, every speech about equity and second chances, it's been hollow without you. I thought success would fill the gap, but it just amplified it. We pulled up to her penthouse in Belltown, the kind of place with a doorman who nodded deferentially and an elevator that whispered up 30 floors without a sound. She led me inside, the space a stark contrast to the chaos outside, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the sound, minimalist furniture in shades of gray and white, a single abstract painting on the wall that screamed, "I have taste and money." It was beautiful, impersonal, the antithesis of our old apartment cluttered with half-finished canvases and dog-eared, queer-lit paperbacks. "Shower," she ordered gently, pointing to a door off the living room. "I'll heat up some soup."
Real food, not.
Whatever that was. Under the scalding water, steam clouding the marble tiles, I scrubbed away the alley's filth, but not the memories. Our first kiss had been in a similar rain, outside a dive bar during Pride Week, her lips tasting of gin and rebellion. We'd tumbled into love like it was the easiest thing, two women carving out space in a world that often felt too straight, too narrow. But ambition had its claws, and when the DC offer came, she'd packed without a fight, leaving me with a note. "This is for us, eventually." Eventually turned into never, or so I'd thought, until tonight's collision yanked the stitches loose. Dressed in one of her oversized button-downs, soft cotton against my skin, carrying her scent, I emerged to find her on the couch, two steaming bowls on the coffee table, her coat discarded to reveal a silk blouse that hugged her frame just right. We ate in silence at first, spoons clinking awkwardly, the city lights twinkling below like distant fireflies mocking our fractured reunion. "The trash," I finally said, breaking the tension. "It wasn't. I mean, it's not like that every night. Just tonight. Lost a client, rent's due, the usual spiral." She set her bowl down, leaning forward, elbows on knees, that intense gaze pinning me in place. "Bullshit. I've seen the reports. Homelessness up 20% since I took office. Queer youth especially. I promise to fix it, Paisley. But how do I do that when the woman I loved most is out there suffering because of me?"
Loved.
Past tense or present. The word hung between us, charged, pulling at the threads of what we'd lost. I reached for her hand then, tentative, and she met me halfway, fingers intertwining like they remembered the way. That night, we talked until the rain tapered off and the sky lightened to a bruised dawn. She confessed the loneliness of the mayoral suite, the endless meetings, the scandals brewing in City Hall, the way power isolated her more than it empowered. I shared the fragments of my life post-Jordan, the string of flings that fizzled because they weren't her, the art shows I'd skipped out of fear, the quiet pride in surviving on my terms, even if those terms were threadbare. By the time we collapsed onto her bed, fully clothed, exhausted but alive with possibility, the space between us had shrunk to breaths and whispers. "Stay," she murmured into my hair, arm draped over my waist. "Just for now. Let me make this right." But morning brought the Real storm. Her phone buzzed relentlessly on the nightstand, aides demanding her presence at a press conference on housing reform, the irony bitter on my tongue. As she dressed, slipping back into the armor of mayor, I lingered in the sheets, watching her move with that effortless grace. "What if they find out?" I asked, voice small. "The X in the trash, dredging up your past. It'll be tabloid gold." She paused, tie half nodded, and crossed to me, cupping my face with hands that trembled just a fraction. "Let them. You're not a scandal, Paisley. You're the reason I fight, for a city where no one has to choose between love and survival." Her kiss was fierce, claiming, a promise sealed against the world's judgment. But as the elevator doors closed on her retreating figure, doubt crept in like fog off the water. Could we rebuild on the ruins of what we'd broken? Or was this just another interlude before the next dumpster fire? The press conference loomed like a guillotine, Jordan's words from the night before echoing in my skull as I paced her penthouse, the city sprawled below in indifferent sprawl. I shouldn't have stayed. Should have grabbed my still damp clothes and bolted before the sun could expose the cracks in this fragile truce. But her bed held the imprint of us, sheets tangled from restless shifting rather than passion, and the coffee she'd brewed before leaving sat cooling on the counter, a mug with Seattle's heart scrawled in gold script, her ironic private joke. I sipped it black, bitter as the truth settling in my gut. Jordan Hale wasn't just my ex anymore. She was the face of progress, the queer icon who'd headlined Pride with speeches on visibility and resilience, all while I'd become the invisible underbelly she aimed to uplift. How do you love someone who's supposed to save you? My phone, cracked screen and all, buzzed with a text from an old mutual friend, Lena. Saw the mayor's motorcade. You okay after last night's shift? Shift, code for the gig economy grind that had me bussing tables at that diner, the same one whose trash I'd raided. I typed back a vague, fine, then scrolled her feed, a curated carousel of art collectives and queer brunches that made my isolation sting sharper. We'd been thick as thieves once, Lena and I, trading stories of bad dates and worse bosses over late-night tacos. But after Jordan left, the invites dried up. Sympathy morphed into distance, as if my heartbreak was contagious. Needing air, I slipped into my jeans and her shirt, too big, but it smelled like home, and headed down, the doorman flashing a polite nod that felt like pity. Belltown buzzed with mid-morning energy, baristas slinging lattes, joggers in neon pounding pavement, the Pike Place fishmongers hollering in the distance. I wandered toward the waterfront, salt air cutting through the urban haze, memories crashing like waves. Our first anniversary, we'd picnicked here, Jordan surprising me with a sketchbook filled with her clumsy drawings of us, stick-figure lesbians conquering the world. You're the artist, she'd said, blushing. But I had to try. I'd laughed, pulled her close, our kiss drawing wolf whistles from tourists who didn't know they were witnessing something sacred. Now, the pier felt haunted, gulls wheeling overhead as if mocking my solitude. I sat on a bench, pulling out a crumpled notebook from my pocket, my constant companion, pages crammed with half-formed designs for logos that never sold. Idly, I sketched Jordan's profile, fierce and flawed, the curve of her jaw where I'd pressed my lips 1,000 times. The pencil flew, lines bleeding into emotion, until a shadow fell across the page. Paisley Reeves? Holy shit, is that you? I looked up into the face of Marcus Hale, Jordan's older brother, all broad shoulders and easy grin, a far cry from the awkward teen who'd walked in on us making out in their family garage back in high school. He was a tech whiz now, some startup guru funding queer initiatives under the radar. Marcus. I managed, slamming the notebook shut, heat flooding my cheeks. Long time. He dropped onto the bench, uninvited but welcome in his warmth. Heard you crashed back into Geordie's orbit last night. She called me at dawn, freaking out. Marcus, I found Pius digging in trash. What do I do? He chuckled, but his eyes were serious, scanning me with that sibling protectiveness. You look like hell, no offense. What's the story? She said you two talked.
Talked. Yeah.
I stared at the sound. Fairies cutting white wakes, wishing I could board one and vanish. It's complicated. She's the mayor, Marcus.
I'm me.
He nudged my shoulder, gentle. And that's exactly why she needs you. Powers turned her into a machine, speeches, donors, the works. Last week, she tanked a bill on affordable housing because some developer whispered in her ear. She's losing herself, Pius. You were always the one who kept her human. His words landed like stones in still water, rippling through the defenses I'd built.
Human.
Was that what we'd been? Two women fumbling toward authenticity in a city that celebrated rainbow flags but criminalized poverty. Jordan's rise had been meteoric, from grassroots organizer to city council at 29, mayor at 34, the youngest and first openly gay one in Seattle's history. Headlines called her a trailblazer. I'd called her gone. But Marcus's gaze held no judgment, just the quiet plea of family who'd watched her burn bright and brittle. Come to the fundraiser tonight, he said suddenly, pulling an embossed invite from his jacket. Private thing at the Museum of Pop Culture. Donors, politicos, but I'll be there as buffer. See her in her element, or out of it, when she spots you. I wanted to refuse, to retreat to my shoebox apartment with its leaky faucet and eviction notices piling up. But the sketch in my pocket burned, and so did the memory of her hand in mine. Maybe, I hedged, pocketing the invite. We parted with a hug that lingered, his whisper in my ear. Don't let her save the city without saving you first. Back at the penthouse, Jordan had texted the code. Stay safe, love you. I showered again, this time letting the water wash away hesitation. Her closet yielded a simple black dress, knee-length and elegant, the kind that hugged without screaming. I twisted my hair into a loose chignon, applied the barest makeup from her vanity, mascara, a swipe of berry lipstick that matched the shade she'd worn on our last goodnight. Staring at my reflection, I saw not the scavenger from the alley, but the woman who'd once made Jordan Hale believe in forever. The museum thrummed with Seattle's elite, tech bros in slim suits, artists with ironic tattoos, queer activists mingling with old money in pearls and cufflinks. I hovered near a Banksy exhibit, champagne flute in hand, feeling like an imposter until Marcus waved me over. You clean up nice, he teased, steering me through the crowd. Jordy's on stage soon. Keynote on urban renewal. The lights dimmed, spotlight hitting her like a halo as she ascended the podium, poised, magnetic. Seattle, she began, voice resonating through the hall, is a city of dreamers, of survivors who've turned pain into progress. Tonight, I recommit to that spirit, affordable homes, safe streets, love without limits. The applause swelled, but her eyes scanned the room, locking on mine mid-sentence, a flicker of vulnerability cracking her composure. She faltered, just a beat. Love. Without limits, then recovered, but the damage was done. The crowd didn't notice. I did. Afterward, in the crush of well-wishers, she found me by the coat check, her hand brushing my elbow like a secret. You came. It wasn't a question, more a breath of relief. Up close, the exhaustion etched faint lines around her eyes, the weight of the role pressing down. Couldn't stay away. I smiled, tentative, handing her the sketch from my clutch, the one of her profile, now signed with a flourish. For the mayor who forgot her heart. She unfolded it, breath-catching, and pulled me into a shadowed alcove, away from prying eyes. Paisley, she whispered, forehead to mine. This is insane. But it's us, messy real. Her lips found my temple, then my cheek, a trail of heat that promised more. We kissed then, slow and deep, the world fading to the taste of champagne and longing, her hands framing my face, as if I were the only policy worth enacting. But as the night wore on, whispers slithered through the crowd, a donor cornering her about optics, a reporter eyeing us with predatory gleam. Marcus intercepted, steering me to the bar with tales of their childhood, but the seed of doubt sprouted. Could a mayor love a ghost from her past without the city tearing us apart? When Jordan rejoined, her arm linking mine possessively, I leaned in and murmured, Your move, Madam Mayor. What's the platform for us? She laughed, soft and genuine, the sound I'd missed most. Everything. Starting now. Yet, as we slipped out into the night, paparazzi flashes popping like gunfire, I wondered if now was enough to outrun the storm brewing on the horizon. The flashes blinded me as we emerged from the museum, Jordan's arm a steel band around my waist, guiding us to the waiting car, like we were fleeing a battlefield. Ignore them, she hissed, but her smile was camera-ready, waves tossed to the throng of reporters shouting questions. Mayor Hale, who's the mystery woman? Back to the X-Files? Their lenses hungry for scandal in a city that devoured its heroes. I ducked into the SUV, heart racing not from fear but from the thrill of her protectiveness, the way she'd positioned herself between me and the chaos without a second thought. As the door slammed shut, sealing us in leather-scented quiet, she exhaled sharply, head thunking back against the seat. Fuck. That was close. Close. I echoed, half laughing, adrenaline buzzing like cheap wine. Jordan, that's your life now, spotlights and soundbites. I thought you thrived on it. She turned to me, hazel eyes stormy, thumb tracing my knuckles in absent rhythm. I did.
Once.
But tonight, with you there, it felt like a cage. The car merged into traffic, taillights streaking red through the drizzle, the Space Needle piercing the skyline like a defiant needle in the city's vein. We rode in charged silence, her free hand drifting to my thigh, a casual claim that sent warmth pooling low. By the time we hit her building, the tension had shifted from fraught to feral, her keycard fumbling in the elevator as she backed me against the mirrored wall, mouth crashing into mine with the pent-up force of years denied. We barely made it inside, clothes shedding like old skin, her dress pooling at my feet, my borrowed shirt tugged over my head, until it was just us, bare and urgent on the rug by the windows, the city's hum a distant soundtrack to gasps and whispers. Paisley, she groaned against my neck, hands mapping curves she'd once known by heart. I've missed this, missed you like breathing. I arched into her touch, nails digging into her shoulders, the world reduced to salt-slick skin, and the rhythm of us reclaiming what time had stolen. It wasn't gentle, it was reckoning. All teeth and tenderness, her body a landscape of power and vulnerability, the mare undone beneath my fingers. After, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, dawn creeping in like a hesitant guest, reality intruded via her buzzing phone. "Hail," she answered groggily, then stiffened, sitting up bolt upright. "What do you mean, leak?" "The housing bill." Her face drained of color, free hand clenching the duvet as she listened, nodding curtly. When she hung up, the air thickened. Some asshole from the fundraiser, probably that developer, shopped a story. Photos of us leaving together. Anonymous tip about the mayor's trash-diving paramour. It's hitting the blogs in an hour. My stomach dropped, the afterglow shattering like glass. Paramour? Jesus, they make it sound like a dime novel. I sat up too, pulling the sheet around me, suddenly exposed in more ways than one. Jordan, this could tank you. The election's in 2 years. Conservatives already paint you as the woke elite.
Me?
I'm the poster child for failure. She cupped my face, fierce.
No.
You're the truth they can't spin. We fight this together, press release, statement on transparency. Love isn't a liability. It's the goddamn point. But doubt flickered in her eyes, the politician calculating risks even as the lover pulled me close. We dressed in hurried quiet, her team arriving via conference call, spinning damage control while I brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead. By noon, the headline screamed, "Seattle's sapphic scandal. Mayor Hale's alleyway affair?" Grainy shots of the alley, of us at the gala. My face blurred but recognizable to anyone who'd known us. Lena texted a string of fire emojis and "Call me, babe, you're viral." Marcus rang, voice tight. "Jordy's in lockdown mode. Meet me for lunch? We need a plan." I slipped out the service entrance, hood up against the light rain, hailing a bus to Pike Place. The market was a riot of color and clamor, flowers in buckets, salmon flipping through air, the scent of fresh bread warring with fish guts. Marcus waited at our old haunt, a hole-in-the-wall crepe stand, his hug bone-crushing. "She's spiraling," he said over steaming Nutella crepes, the sweetness cloying against the bitterness. "Blames herself for leaving, for not finding you sooner. But pious, this leak? It's bigger. Tied to that housing bill. Someone's gunning for her." We walked the stalls, weaving through tourists, his words painting a conspiracy. Rival council members, deep-pocketed landlords threatened by her reforms. "She's pushing for queer-inclusive shelters, rent caps, stuff that hits where it hurts. You showing up?" Perfect ammo to call her distracted. I bought a bouquet of wildflowers, daisies and lavender, a talisman against the ugliness, and we plotted over chowder at the waterfront. Me going public on my terms, a freelance piece for the stranger exposing the real story. Love, loss, redemption in the margins. That evening, Jordan met me at the apartment I'd sublet months ago, a third-floor walk-up in Fremont with troll statues guarding the door like ironic sentinels. She'd brought takeout, pad thai from our spot, and wine, her coat slung over a chair that sagged under the weight. "I cleared my schedule," she said, kicking off heels, vulnerability softening her edges. "Tell me everything. The real you, not the spin." We ate cross-legged on the floor, boxes open like confessions, and I did. The gigs that vanished, the nights I'd sketched her face until my hands cramped, the quiet terror of invisibility in a city that preached inclusion but practiced indifference. She listened, tears tracking silent paths, then shared her side, the isolation of the podium, the hookups that meant nothing, the way my name on her lips during speeches felt like sabotage and salvation. "I left because I was scared," she admitted, voice raw. "Scared we'd fade into domesticity while the world burned. But without you, I'm just ashes." The flowers sat between us, petals brushing knees as we leaned in, kisses turning to more, slower this time, exploratory, her fingers tracing tattoos I'd gotten post-breakup, symbols of survival. In my bed, narrow and lumpy, we fit like we'd never been apart, bodies remembering the language of sighs and shifts. Afterward, her head on my chest, heartbeat syncing with mine, she murmured, "Marry me. Not now, but soon. Let's build that life, the one we dreamed." Joy surged, then crashed against the wall of now. With scandals and shadows? "Jordan, I love you, but love wins." She cut in, propping on an elbow, eyes alight. "Always has for us." But as sleep claimed her, phone silent for once, I lay awake, staring at water stains on the ceiling, wondering if love could weather the war we'd unwittingly joined. The war escalated at dawn, Jordan's phone erupting like a grenade, yanking us from tangled limbs to triage mode. "Council emergency," she groaned, scrolling emails in the half-light, her naked form silhouetted against the blinds. "They're calling a special session," motioned to censure me over the personal conduct bullshit. I bolted up, sheet pooling at my waist, the intimacy of night evaporating into strategy.
Censure?
For what? Kissing in public. This city's queer mayor can't have a girlfriend. "Worse," she said, dressing with furious efficiency, blouse snapping buttons like accusations. "They're linking it to the leak, claiming conflict of interest, that I'm prioritizing personal drama over policy. The housing bill's on the chopping block." Her eyes met mine, stormy with resolve. "I have to go in swinging. You, stay low. I'll handle this." But staying low wasn't my style, not anymore. As her car vanished down the troll-guarded street, I fired off texts, Lena for backup, Marcus for intel, even a cold email to an editor at the local alt weekly, pitching my side, a first person on surviving the system's cracks while loving its architect. By mid-morning, I was at a coffee shop in Ballard, laptop open to drafts of queer policy critiques I'd shelved years ago, fueled by black brew and simmering rage. The barista, a non-binary kid with blue hair, slid my refill with a wink. Saw the headlines. "You're badass, kick their asses." Empowered, I met Lena at her studio in Soto, a warehouse loft crammed with canvases and the scent of turpentine. She hugged me fierce, her wiry frame all energy. "Paisley fucking Reeves, back from the dead." Jordan's a mess, texted me at 3 a.m. about contingency plans, like running away to Portland. We laughed, but it was edged, the kind born of knowing the stakes. Over sketchpads and herbal tea, she helped refine my pitch. Not victimhood, but victory. A lesbian love story fueling reform, trash to triumph. News trickled in via alerts. The session live-streamed. Jordan at the dais in a power suit, voice steady as she dismantled their attacks. Personal conduct? Let's talk conduct. The conduct of landlords price-gouging families, of a council that turns blind eyes to evictions spiking among LGBTQ youth. My life is an open book because transparency builds trust. Judge me on results, not rumors. Clips went viral, supporters flooding her mentions with rainbow fists, but detractors piled on, memes twisting the alley photo into caricature. Mayor dumps policy for dumpster dates. Marcus called mid-afternoon, voice clipped from City Hall corridors. She's holding, but it's ugly. That developer, Harlan Voss, slimy fuckers bankrolling the opposition. Met him once. Reeks of old money and older grudges. Dig if you can. Anything to flip the script.
Dig.
The irony twisted, but I was in, heading to the Central Library's archive room, microfiche humming like ghosts as I pored over property records. Voss's empire. Luxury condos displacing low-income neighborhoods. Queer Hub shuttered for revitalization. By dusk, I had a thread of Voss-backed PAC donating to anti-reform counselors, emails hinting at quid pro quo. I burst into Jordan's post-session debrief at a neutral diner off Aurora, sliding into the booth where she nursed a soda with her chief of staff, a no-nonsense Latina named Rosa. Voss is the snake, I announced, spreading printouts like a dealer at poker. Rosa arched a brow. Who the hell are you? But Jordan's grin cut through, proud and weary. My secret weapon. Paisley, meet Rosa Valdez. Rosa, the love of my life and apparently a PI now. We huddled, piecing the puzzle, Voss's motive clear. Jordan's housing push threatened his waterfront developments. Expose him, Rosa urged, tapping a photo of Voss glad-handing at a gala. But clean FOIA requests, not vigilante shit. Jordan's hand found mine under the table, squeezing. Anchor in the gale. We do this right. Together. That night, back in her penthouse, security detail now a shadow at the door, we celebrated small wins with delivery sushi and sake, tension uncoiling into touch. You're brilliant, she murmured, lips brushing my collarbone as we swayed to a playlist of old indie tracks. The city lights our ballroom. Scared me today, charging in like that. But God, I love your fire. My hands roamed her back, unzipping resolve, and we tumbled to the couch, sake warm and slow, exploring with the leisure of lovers who'd earned their scars. Her moans were music, body arching like a policy in motion, deliberate, unyielding, until release crested, leaving us breathless, entwined. But vulnerability bred honesty, and in the afterglow, doubts surfaced. What if this breaks you? I whispered, tracing her jaw. The bill dies, the censure sticks because of me. She propped on an elbow, gaze fierce. Then we rebuild, like we always have. A beat, then softer. Remember our road trip to Olympic? That storm hit, car stuck in mud, us laughing through the tow bill? This is that bigger mud, same us. Sleep came fitful, dreams of alleys and podiums blurring, until a 2 a.m. knock jolted us awake. Rosa, grim-faced. Voss just dropped a bomb. Press her tomorrow, accusing Jordan of ethics violations. He's got evidence, fabricated, but it'll stick unless we counter hard. Adrenaline surged, the war personal now. As dawn broke, Jordan suited up, kissing me deep. Hold the fort. I love you. Alone, I rallied, emailing the editor my piece, titled From Trash to Truth, Loving Seattle's Mayor in the Margins. Lena forwarded activist contacts for a rally. Marcus leaked Voss docs to a trusted journo. By noon, my byline hit. Raw. Real. A manifesto of queer endurance, love as activism. Responses flooded. Shares, DMs from women like me. You're us. Jordan's presser countered Voss's, her flanked by allies, voice thunder. Accusations from those who profit on pain won't silence progress. Here's the real ethics breach. Slides of Voss's ties projected, gasps rippling. The tide turned, murmurs of support swelling, but as she fielded questions, her eyes sought the crowd. Found me in the back, nodding fierce. Victory tasted sweet, but fragile, the real battle in the quiet after. We met at a safe house diner in Georgetown, away from eyes, splitting fries like conspirators. You did this, she said, feeding me a bite, thumb lingering on my lip. My warrior. The kiss that followed was public defiant, patrons cheering softly, a microcosm of the city we aimed to heal. Yet as night fell, whispers of deeper threats lingered. Voss wouldn't fold easy. Curled in a motel bed that night, her body spooning mine, I felt the weight. Love's cost, but also its currency. We're unbreakable, she breathed into my hair. I believed her almost. Unbreakable cracked under pressure 2 days later, when Voss's evidence landed like shrapnel. Forged emails purporting Jordan had funneled city funds to personal associates, me, implied as the grifter girlfriend siphoning for scraps. The blogs ate it up. Mayor Hale's lesbian largesse. Taxpayer trash, twisting our story into sleaze. Jordan's approval dipped overnight. Council allies waffling. Rose's war room a frenzy of calls and coffee. I holed up in Lena's loft, sketching countermeasures. Infographics debunking the lies. Viral ready with bite. You're too close, Rosa warned over speaker. Voice clipped. Step back, Paisley. This is chess, not street art. But Jordan overrode. She's in. Always. Her faith fueled me, but isolation gnawed. Friends distant. Fearing association. My inbox a minefield of hate mail, slurs from trolls, pity from progressives. Queer trash, one read, screenshot to Jordan, who crushed her phone in rage. We stole moments amid mayhem. A late-night walk in Discovery Park, hands linked under evergreens, rain pattering like applause. Remember our first fight? She asked, leaning against a cedar, breath fogging. Over that stupid tattoo. You wanted matching waves, I said, too permanent. I traced the ink on her wrist now, a subtle crest from years later, inked in secret post-breakup. You got it anyway, I murmured, pulling her close, kiss deepening amid moss and mist, her body yielding like the tide we symbolized, pull and release, endless. But the park idol shattered with a ping, subpoena. Voss's lawyers, dragging me into deposition, probing our relationship timeline like prosecutors in a bad procedural. The hearing room reeked of stale ambition, wood-paneled and cold. Jordan's team flanking me as I testified, calm, clipped. We reconnected. End of story. No funds, no favors. Voss's counsel, a slick weasel in pinstripes, smirked. Reconnected over garbage, Ms. Reeves? How poetic for Seattle's sanitation budget. I fired back, voice steady. Poetic? Try survival. While Mr. Voss builds palaces on evictions, some of us fight for the forgotten. The judge banged gavel on irrelevance, but the damage seeped, headlines framing me as the alley affair witness. Jordan met me post-hearing at a taqueria in White Center, away from haunts, her hug fierce enough to bruise. You're magnificent, she said over al pastor tacos, lime cutting the grease. But this, it's war on you now. I can't lose you to their bullshit. Then end it, I challenged, heat rising. Pull the bill, play safe. Or we go all in, expose Voss full bore, rally the streets. Her eyes darkened, fork pausing. Paisley, the bill's my legacy. But you're my life. The argument simmered, words weaponized, her ambition clashing my rawness, echoes of our breakup. You left once, I accused, voice breaking. Don't make me beg you to stay. She recoiled, then softened, hand over mine. Never again. Promise. We left arm in arm, but the rift lingered, a fault line underfoot. Rally planning consumed us. Marcus coordinating permits for a march on City Hall, Lena designing banners. Love builds homes, not scandals. Activists converging from Vashon to Bellevue. My piece spawned op-eds, queer voices amplifying. Hale's heart is Seattle's, flaws and all. Voss countered with ads, billboards sneering clean up City Hall. But cracks showed. Donors defecting, whispers of his own skeletons. Climax brewed at the March Eve, a strategy huddle in Jordan's office, maps and mock-ups strewn. Rosa paced, crowd controls key, peaceful, visible. I sketched last-minute signs, Jordan's arm around my chair, chin on my shoulder. "This is it," she whispered. "Us against them." The room emptied, leaving us amid fluorescent hum, her pulling me onto the desk, papers scattering like confetti. "Need you," she breathed, skirt hiking, my hands urgent, mouths meeting in desperate sync. It was quick, intense, desk-edge perch, her gasps muffled against my neck, release a pressure valve before the storm. Dawn brought thousands to the streets, rain holding off like mercy, rainbow flags snapping in breeze. Jordan spoke from steps, voice amplified. "This city thrives on us, the lovers, the fighters, the forgotten. Voss wants division. We demand unity." Cheers roared, my heart swelling as she spotted me in front, eyes locking. Partner, not prop. Voss's camp crashed the periphery, counter-protesters jeering, but we held, chants drowning hate, hands linked in a human chain. Then, fracture. A scuffle erupted, shove turning to swing, baton flashing as cops, Voss allies, pushed back. Chaos bloomed, screams piercing, Jordan yanked from podium into fray. I surged forward, Lena hauling me. Pious, but instinct-propelled, dodging elbows to reach her, tackling a looming figure, security. Off her. We tumbled, asphalt biting knees, her shielding me. Get back. Adrenaline surged, fists clenched, until Rose's team extracted, medics swarming. In the ER waiting room, fluorescent hell, Marcus paced. Lena iced my knuckles. Dislocated shoulder, Doc said for a protester. Jordan, bruised but unbroken, emerged bandaged. "You saved me," she said, cupping my face, tears mixing with antiseptic sting. "My hero." "Not without cost," I whispered, the rift mending in her gaze. Voss's overreach backfired, videos viral, public outrage flipping polls. The bill passed days later, 6-3, Jordan signing amid cheers, my hand in hers under table. But victory hollowed when Voss's final card dropped. Leaked audio, our private fight, twisted to sound like collusion. "End it or we go all in," clipped to imply graft. Resignation calls flooded her office, allies fracturing. That night, in our makeshift war room, her penthouse, takeout cold, we faced it. Step down? Rosa floated, defeated. "No," Jordan snarled, then turned to me vulnerable. "Unless you want out. This poison, it's killing us." I crossed to her, kneeling, hands on thighs. "We're the antidote. Call their bluff. Full disclosure, our story unedited." She nodded, slow, then pulled me up, kiss ceiling packed. Raw, real, unbreakable now. Press conference next morn. Jordan, flanked by me, Rosa, Marcus, laid bare, audio full, context-crushing lies. "This is love, messy and true. Judge us on that." Applause thundered, Voss's empire crumbling under probes. In the quiet after, rooftop under stars, her head on my shoulder. "We did it." I kissed her temple. "We begin." Beginnings bloomed tentative, the scandal's ashes fertilizing fragile peace. Jordan's bill became law, shelters rising in Soto, rent freezes rippling out, her approval soaring, but the toll lingered, nightmares of crowds turning violent, my shoulder aching from the fray. We carved normalcy from chaos, mornings tangled in my Fremont walk-up, her learning to scramble eggs without burning, me crashing her briefings, sketching policy visuals that went viral. "You're my muse," she'd tease, nipping my ear over briefing papers, turning desk into dalliance. Quick, heated, her authority melting under my touch. Yet shadows stalked. Voss indicted on fraud, but his network festered. Anonymous threats scrawled on rally posters. "Mayor and her gutter girl won't last." I brushed it off, diving into collabs. A mural project with Lena, walls in Capitol Hill blooming queer narratives, Jordan unveiling with paint-smeared cheeks, our kiss captured for posterity, front page, framed in her office. Public adored the power couple, but privately, doubts gnawed. Was I prop or partner? Her schedules swallowed days, nights me alone with wine and what-ifs, sketching her absence into abstraction. Marcus noticed first, over beers at a dive in Ballard, neon buzzing like nerves. She's retreating, he said, nursing a stout. Post-boss, paranoia, security shadows, vetoing dates. Thinks she's protecting you. I nodded, the truth bitter. Our intimacy rationed, stolen in hallways, her body tense even in release, as if expecting ambush. Talk to her, he urged. Or it'll echo the breakup. Ambition starving love. Confrontation brewed at a gala for the new shelters, chandeliers dripping light over tuxes and gowns, Jordan radiant in emerald silk, arm mine like trophy. Whispers followed. That's her, the trash one. I smiled through. But by dessert, the facade cracked. In a powder room alcove, mirrors multiplying our tension, I spun her. This isn't us. You're a ghost in your own life, here but not. She deflated, lipstick smudged. Paisley, the threat's real. Last week, mail with photos. Us in the park, time-stamped. I can't risk you. Her voice broke, hands trembling. Better half measures than none. Half. Fury flared, echoing tile. I didn't fight for scraps. We did, together. Or not at all. I stormed out, heels clicking fury, hailing a cab to Fremont, the city blurring wet. Alone, I raged, packing her toiletries, the ones she'd left, jasmine lotion, that mug, then unpacked, tears salting resolve. Call her? Let it fester? She arrived at midnight, key I'd given her turning soft, face streaked from rain or regret. Don't, she pleaded, dripping on threshold. Don't make me choose again. We collided, arguments into embraces, words weapons turning caresses. I choose you, she gasped, backing me to wall, dress hiking, my legs wrapping waist. It was raw, reclaiming, her fingers insistent, my moans echoing empty rooms, bodies slamming home the truth, separations lie. After, floor cold, her confession spilled. Therapy. Security overhaul. Date nights mandatory. I won't lose us to fear. Relief crested, but growth demanded work. Weeks blurred, couples counseling in a queen and brownstone, her dissecting powers poison, me unpacking abandonment scars. You weren't holding me back, she owned one session, hand in mine. I was running from vulnerability. Tears flowed, breakthrough bittersweet, sealing with a kiss the therapist pretended not to see. Publicly, we modeled resilience. Joint op-ed in the PI, Love's Labor, building Seattle side by side, my illustrations framing her words. Rallies drew crowds, not just queer but families, displaced folks sharing stories that mirrored ours. Love enduring eviction's edge. One night, post-panel on inclusive policy, a teen approached, eyes wide. You too give me hope. In Texas, it's hide or hurt. Jordan hugged her fierce. I slipped her a sketch. Two women hand in hand, city at feet. Your hopes are fight, I said. Privately, romance reignited. Weekend in the San Juans, ferry rocking us to Orcas, cabin by sea where waves lulled instead of warned. No phones, just us. Hikes through Madrona groves, her sketching me, badly, me teaching her guitar strums to old Ani DeFranco. Evenings by fire pit, wine warming veins, her head in lap as I played, transitioning to touch, slow undress under stars, skin glowing ember gold, her mouth worshipful on breasts, thighs parting like invitations. Orgasms rolled gentle, profound, aftershocks and whispers. Marry me. For real. Joy surged, but caution tempered. When the cities healed a bit more? She nodded, patient, our pact evolving. Fracture tested anew when a shelter opening went awry. Protesters, boss holdouts, hurling slurs. Dyke mayor's handouts. Security swarmed, Jordan shielding residents, me pulling a kid from the melee, his face terror-wide. Bruises bloomed, but unity solidified. Next day's presser, us side by side, her arm my sling. Hate tests us, she declared, but love fortifies. The kid, Jamal, became mascot, his drawing of us on the center's wall, heroes with hearts. Through it, our bond deepened. Lazy Sundays sketching policy art, her learning my freelance chaos, me navigating hall politics. One dawn, waking to her proposal redo, ring simple, silver waves intertwined, box by coffee. Now, she insisted, knee not bent but soul bared. Build with me. Tears yes, kiss ceiling, the city waking to our future. But ending circle, Voss's trial looming, shadows lengthening. In bed that night, ring glinting, her murmur. Ready for forever? I traced her lips. Born ready. Yet in quiet I pondered, love's not endpoint, but horizon, endless, earned. Horizons shifted with Voss's trial, a spectacle unfolding in federal court downtown, glass towers reflecting the farce like funhouse mirrors. Jordan testified first, poised under oath, dismantling his web with facts sharper than scalpels. Mr. Voss didn't just bribe. He bought silence on the backs of the vulnerable, queer families evicted for his condos, shelters starved for funds. The gallery murmured, reporters scribbling frenzy, me in back row, notebook filling with sketches, his smug face caricatured as a snake, her profile heroic. When Voss's turn came, his gaze slithered to me during cross. The mayor's inspiration, scraping bins while she spent taxpayer dollars on dates. Cozy, no. Objection overruled, but the barb stuck. Judge's gavel no bomb. Outside, press swarmed. Ms. Reeves, gutter to glory, comment. I froze, Jordan's hand steadying, but fury unlocked tongue. From trash to truth, that's Seattle's story. Voss peddles lies. We build homes. Clips looped, turning smear to strength, supporters demang. Slay queen. Trial dragged weeks, tension coiling our home. Her pacing nights, me soothing with massages turning intimate, oils slick on back, thumbs kneading knots into moans. Distraction, she'd sigh, rolling to face me, legs entwining, slow grind building to crest, release easing fears temporary. Counseling helped, unpacking trial triggers, her admitting powers paranoia, me voicing imposter pangs. You're my equal, she'd affirm, post-session walks in Green Lake, ducks quacking approval. Voss crumbled mid-trial, plea deal, snitching on cronies, empire fracturing. Verdict, guilty, sentenced to 10, Jordan's bill fortified with oversight clauses. Celebrations erupted. Gala at the Rep, her speech tearful. Justice isn't vengeance, it's equity. For every Paisley out there, fighting from the margins. Spotlight hit us, dance floor claiming. Waltz amid cheers, her in tux, me gown flowing, spins dizzying into alcove kiss, heated, promising more. But elation ebbed to reflection. Post-trial, she resigned? No, re-election bid, platform bolder, me co-chair on equity task force, my art campaigning. Doubts resurfaced. Can I sustain? I confessed over diner hash, her fork pausing. Paisley, you're the sustain, my north. Reassurance landed, but action followed. Sabbatical planned, road trip echoing our youth, California coast, Big Sur cliffs where waves crashed like catharsis. We drove her hybrid, top down, wind whipping hair, playlist blasting Tracy Chapman, her hand thigh-high shifting gears. Stops blurred. Monterey kayaking, seals barking laughs. Napa vines tangling like us. Picnic wine leading to backseat tangle. Hasty, hungry, fogged windows hiding gasps. Nights in motels, neon signed, her body mind to worship. Tongue tracing hip bones, fingers delving deep, her arching please music to my devotion. In Joshua Tree, under desert stars vast as possibility, campfire crackling, she unpacked the ring anew. Marry me here, now, vows under void. I laughed, then sobered, yes trembling. Ceremony improvised, rings exchanged, words woven. In shadows and spotlights, I choose you. Consummation on blanket, earth warm, bodies merging cosmic, orgasms shattering like meteors, afterglow stargazing, futures mapped constellation. Return grounded dreams, wedding planning amid policy pushes, my freelance booming, books illustrated, queer youth workshops. Challenges nipped, family tensions, her folks liberal but wary of the optics, mine scattered, approving via Zoom. We navigated, therapy toolkit sharp. Climax crested re-election night, hall packed, ballots ticking. Tension peaked, her pacing, me sketching nerves away. Victory call. Landslide, cheers deafening. On stage, confetti raining, she pulled me up, my wife-to-be, my why. Kiss sealed, crowd roaring, but whisper private. Ours now. Honeymoon deferred, mayoral duties, but micro-break stolen. Cabin in Cascades, snow blanketing, firelit nights of slow love, her mouth reverent between thighs, my hands in hair guiding ecstasy. Back, life layered, her office mural mine, policy-infused art, my studio hers for cameos, sketches of her napping post-meetings. One spring eve, park bench by sound, rings glinting, her head shoulder rest. Regrets? I pondered, waves lapping answer.
None.
You? She smiled, kiss soft. Forever no. Yet depth lay beneath. Love's labor ongoing, humanizing power, amplifying margins. Years folded, wedding intimate, Pride March vows renewed annually, adoption papers for Jamal's sister, a fierce 6-year-old. Legacy bloomed, shelters thriving, my graphic novels bestsellers, queer canon. In quiet, bed warm, her murmur. We made it. I traced waves on wrist. We're making it every day. Days wove into tapestry rich, threads of trial and triumph interlacing daily grace. Jordan's second term pivoted bolder. Green initiatives laced equity, my designs branding parks as Hail Havens, safe queer spaces with art walls inviting stories. I taught workshops there, kids like young me sketching dreams, their pride mending my fractures. Home stabilized, Belltown penthouse softened with my chaos, canvases leaning, dog adopted, scruffy mutt named Waverly, tail wagging ambassador. Mornings, her brewing pour over, me sketching over eggs, kisses stolen mid-bite. Challenges evolved, not absent. A council scandal, ally outed corrupt, tested her coalition. Late nights fraying tempers. One eve, argument flared over veto. Its principle, she snapped, files slamming. I countered calm. Principle starves connection. Storm passed in shower truce, steam veiling, bodies soaping slow, apologies and caresses, her kneeling worship, water cascading release. Anniversary marked 10 years post-alley, surprise gala turned intimate, rooftop, string lights, Lena catering, Marcus toasting from dumpster to dynasty. Dances led to sweet, blindfolds and silk ties playful, her bound wrists tugging, my teasing trails ending in shared shatter, laughter mingling moans. Parenting bloomed with Mia, 8 now, braids flying, questions probing. Why'd Aunt Pius dig trash? We answered honest. Survival story, love turned page. Bedtime tales my illustrated, Jordan voicing fierce heroines, our hands linked over her tuck-in. Legacy deepened. National spotlight, Jordan keynoting DNC, me paneling on art activism, our duo the Hale Reeves model. But grounding moments anchored, volunteer shifts at shelters, serving soup side by side, faces lighting recognizing, the mayor and her artist. One woman, weathered, gripped my arm. You gave me hope, pulled me from my alley. Tears pricked, Jordan's squeeze conveyed all. Health scare midterm, her stress-induced flare, hospital sterile, my vigil unwavering. Scared you, she whispered fore-dripped. Us, I corrected, ring-twined fingers vow. Recovery, sabbatical enforced, road trip redux, Route 66 echoes, motels quirky, love-making lazy under neon, her vitality returning in gasps and grips. Later years tempered fire to ember glow, her eyeing governorship, me gallery shows coast to coast. Doubts surface soft. Enough spotlight? Over wine on balcony, sound glittering, she confessed. With you, always. Vows renewed yearly, now with Mia scripting, our circle widening. Friends reclaimed, family fused. Reflection crested golden anniversary, not years, but Allie's echo. 25, park bench same, Waverly's snoozing pause. Full circle, she mused, gray threading temple silver. I sketched quick, us eternal, city canvas. Spiral up, I said, kiss lingering. Legacy? Not thrones but ripples, Mia's activism budding, shelters models nationwide, my book's curricula. In bed that night, body's familiar map, her touch still sparks. Slow, sacred, climax, quiet profundity. Love you, she breathes. And I echo, beyond words. And, no, continuance, love's quiet revolution, from trash's grasp to city's heart, two women proving, flawed, fierce, humanity's worth in holding fast. In each dawn, we choose again. Messy, meaningful, ours.